Hello, my name is Patrick Bitature, a businessman in Uganda. Today I want to talk a little bit about ICT and its role as an enabler. It is disheartening to see the number of people that are graduating, especially in Uganda, where it's over about 100,000 young people coming out, and they don't understand the use or the power of ICT. If I had my way, you would not graduate without understanding the basics, at least, of ICT. ICT is like speaking in English. We need to move beyond speaking in English. Nearly everybody in Uganda now understands a little bit of English because of universal primary education and universal secondary education. But everybody needs to understand how to use ICT as a tool, as an enabler for them to move forward in their life. Having a mobile phone is not it. You've got to do a bit more than that and think like that. Why do countries that are progressing seriously progress that quickly? Because they have embraced ICT. They have ingrained the thinking in their people to think logically, how a computer works, how coding works. Things that people that do that, countries like Taiwan, South Korea, China, they have moved in huge strides. They made huge strides in the last few years simply because they've changed the way they think. Now, you don't have to be good at mathematics to embrace ICT. It's a logic. And once you learn to understand how things are, everything becomes organized. It creates order and structure. I've talked a bit before. A country without order and structure will not make progress. We need to have order and structure. Of course, not just order and structure. All the other things have got to be part of the picture. But it is essential to have order and structure. And thinking the way ICT work will bring a very big benefit to our society, especially the young people who are today looking for jobs and are craving for anything to do. Why? Because of the power of scalability. If you're making a bit of money by buying and selling to one person, imagine if you scale this thing. If you reach a level where you are thinking about scaling everything you do, you see, McDonald's became a powerhouse because they could scale their product, their service globally. Starbucks did the same. Amazon is doing the same. Facebook has done the same. The power of scalability. Access to reach so many people at the same time using a more or less the same cost, keeping the costs down. That is amazing. It's a very powerful tool. It's a leverage that you cannot ignore. Now, government is slowly beginning to embrace the power of ICT and seeing the benefits. But in the private sector, we're lagging behind. They're pointing to us where to go. We should be the ones driving this. When we talk about a private sector-led growth, a private sector-led economy, it's got to be us initiating these things and doing the right things. We need to have schools for coding in Uganda. The young people need to understand what coding is about. It's a language in ICT that is useful, empowering, and solves problems. To make a lot of money, you need to solve a big problem where you are impacting very many people, if that's your goal, to make a lot of money. Most of the people who have made a lot of money wanted to solve a problem, and making a lot of money was a byproduct, was a benefit, a consequence of solving the problem. Steve Jobs wanted to solve a problem. Bill Gates wanted to solve a problem. And that's why they became so powerful. We've got to find ways to create solutions for our people en masse. And in the process, you will make money. I started out trying to sell a mobile phone. And then I wanted to have every Ugandan having a mobile phone. Then it was every East African. I went to Tanzania, I went to Kenya, selling mobile phones. Before I knew it, I'd sold 20 million mobile phones. And if you made $1 on a mobile phone, you've made $20 million. So solving people's problems helps you make a lot of money. But your primary goal should be to solve a problem and do it en masse, to scale. That's where the real power is. If you're going to go into farming and you're doing a low value crop, you better have scale. That's why the sugar barons have large sugar estates. And they make very little money from every sugarcane. But bit by bit, it adds up. And that's how they get to become sugar barons. So whatever you do, think about scalability. Can we do this with impact? If you can't do it on your own, can you form a cooperative? Can you form some kind of organization where there is some collaboration and you're leveraging on one another, tapping the synergies? If you're all milk producers, get together, provide this milk to one person who will process it and share in the benefits, rather than be held at ransom by one buyer who takes all the cream. So we've got to think about doing things using ICT as an enabler. It changes the way things are done. Every school should be training its young people using computers. The reason some of the countries said they're going to have computers in every school, and everyone thought, oh, it's a far-fetched dream. We don't even have electricity. We've got to think about those things. We've got to do that. What made America America today, when they decided to put a man on the moon, it wasn't about going to the moon. It was a race for technology. How to race. The Cold War was happening, and they wanted to advance against Russia and accelerate the pace of development. This helped them both in arms development and also in areas of science and technology. So when President Nixon said this, he was positioning the country to do greater things. We need to do that. We need to be challenged to use ICT to do greater things. In our context, how can we do this when there is so much poverty and squalor around? Begin with small steps. Eventually, we shall get there. But we must have targets. We must have a vision. We must use technology where we can to make people's lives so much better. Over to you.